edible. I ate my vegetables, but he ate my spinach. Riding with Vic again, so no, we ain't finished. Legendary status, so no, you cannot copy. Riding dirt.
What up, world? It's your boy, FXL, and this is the Riding Dirty Show, where we bridge the gap between hip-hop and everyday life, man. Let's get into it. I got to start off by saying one time for the good people over at WRFG, 89.3 FM Atlanta, our FM radio home for the past 15 plus years. Definitely one time for them for definitely putting up with me for so many years and also providing us a platform to bring this show to life. Also got to say one time for the good people over at live365.com. All right, live365.com is the internet's oldest and longest running streaming company. Now, what they are a streaming server company which allows AM radio stations, left end of the dial radio stations, just smaller wattage radio stations. They partner up with stations and allow them to use their server on the World Wide Web. That enables them to actually be able to pay out royalties for all artists that are properly registered through MediaBase and that Sound Exchange, CSAC, BMI, and ASCAP. All right, now, so all the stations affiliated with Live365.com, they are media-based tracking stations. Now, we partnered up with Live365 last year and launched our very own station, Ride 95. All right, now the way to access our station is easy. All you got to do is go to Live365.com, go to that search engine, and type in Ride, R-I-D-E, the number 9, the number 5, click on our station logo, and you'll have music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now, if you want to access it via your mobile device, it's also just as easy. All you have to do is go download the Live365 mobile app. Once you download the app, go to the search engine, type in Ride 95 or IDE 95. All right? Click on the station logo, and you'll have music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now, before I get into our guests for the evening, I want to say one time for our sponsors, one time for the good people over at Liquor Lollipops. Liquor Lollipops is a premium hard candy designed to taste like your favorite alcoholic beverage. Please visit them at liquorlollipops.com. Also, one time for the good people at El Cornell Michelada Mix. They are what I consider the world's best homemade michelada mix this side of the border. All right? Visit them on Facebook as El Cornell Michelada Mix. Also, one time for the good people over at J. Lawson Music Group, home of the supergroup Fulton County, which features Kilo Ali, DJ Taz, and Mr. Flamboyant. And last but not least, one time for the good people over at 100 Band Run. All right, 100 Band Run, luxury clothing company, brought to you by the Burning 50. All right, luxury clothing at the highest level. All right, please visit them at 100 Band Run on Facebook. All right, one time for everybody checking us out on Facebook Live. Definitely love you guys. Y'all could be doing anything, but you're checking me out, and I definitely appreciate you for that. One time for my beautiful wife. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know right about now how we do right here on the Riding Dirty Show. Y'all know we always tell you this is a platform for those who are changing the world. Moment by moment, second by second, brick by brick. This is the platform for those who have a story to tell, whether it's through art, entertainment, philanthropism, business, entrepreneurship, music. However you're changing the world in your own way, this is the platform for you to tell your story. And tonight is no different than any other night on the Riding Dirty Show. So ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, welcome to the Riding Dirty platform, Miss Denise of Denise Life Coaching Services. How you doing, ma'am?
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, enjoying this southern weather. Was fearful of the storm that didn't come my way, but I'm glad it didn't. So I'm blessed to be here.
Awesome. kind of late, so my voice is kind of boxy.
That's okay. It's okay. We're gonna still give these people this good information. I always like to start the show off by thanking my guests and welcoming to the show. Thank you again for taking a moment to talk to us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I think what you're doing and the platform.
All right, now Miss Denise just dropped out on us. Hopefully she'll be calling right back. But until she calls right back in, man, again, I want to remind you about our sponsors, the good people over at Liquor Lollipops. Visit them at liquorlollipops.com. Also, one time for the good people over at El Cornell Mix. Please visit them at El Cornell Mix on Facebook. And I think we got Miss Denise back with us. Let's see. You back with us?
I'm back with you. Not sure what happened. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well. I'm not sure. It just said dropped on my end, but we kept it going. All right. So look, again, thank you for taking the moment to come on the show. Let's take them on a magical walk into the life of Denise and talk about your life coaching services. The first thing I want to ask, I want you to let the people know where you're from.
Well, as you can tell from my accent, I'm Jamaican. Jamaican born, Jamaican raised. I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. Actually Marietta, but everybody knows Atlanta, so everybody always say Atlanta. But I live in Marietta, and I have an office that I practice out of in Dallas, Georgia. But given that we're in the middle of a pandemic, obviously we have to do a lot more things online. So I pretty much serve people all over the country.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about your being from Jamaica. What was it like growing up in Jamaica, and what led you to Georgia?
Growing up in Jamaica was probably the best gift that I received in my entire life, because I think when you start out life with a very clear understanding of not having everything you want or not having access to things which some people would consider some basic necessities of life. As you grow and you start to accumulate things and you start to have access to opportunities that you didn't at one point in life, it gives you a deeper appreciation for everything, small things, big things. It really makes you want to smell the roses every day and just be grateful for opportunities that that even though you have access to those opportunities, there's still people who don't. And so you're just a lot more grateful on the day-to-day, life journey.
All right. What led to you actually coming to Georgia?
So I grew up in Jamaica, and I came to America when I was 14. My mom was living here, and so my sisters and I migrated to Miami, which a lot of times when people come from Jamaica, they go to Miami or New York back in the 90s. And so I started in Miami at first. I went to high school there, and then went to college and went back to Florida. But my undergrad was in education, so I was a teacher, and I got recruited to Atlanta public school systems to be a high school teacher. And so I moved here, and I've been here ever since. I haven't gone back to Florida. I've been a Georgia peach ever since then.
All right. Now, out of the three areas, which do you prefer? Florida, Jamaica, or Georgia?
Ooh, it's a little tricky. So the thing about, I like things about all of them, and there are things that I don't like about all of them. I think even though I've lived in Georgia for the longest, actually, I still honestly cannot get used to the racism and the race divide and the cultural divides here. I mean, I've lived here for a really long time, but in Jamaica, once you open your mouth and you have a Jamaican accent, you're Jamaican. You know what I mean? You have like Chinese Jamaicans, Indian Jamaicans, Black Jamaicans, white Jamaicans. You have all types of Jamaicans. So everybody's just Jamaican. It doesn't really matter what color you are. I think if anything, we're more aware of the socioeconomic divide than we are the color. And I think even though I live in Georgia and I consider it to be my home because I've lived here for a long time, that's just something that I can't get used to. It still alarms me every day when I see, certain privileges or certain just kind of disproportion, within communities here. But I love Georgia, but Jamaica, I'm a beach baby, I'm a water baby. So I'm always missing my native land. And Florida, I love Florida because it's so multicultural and, everybody's just, I don't know, I think a little happier. I don't know if it's the tropical weather most of the year, but I find the energy and the vibe a little more harmonious.
Okay.
But I do love Georgia, though, so it's a hard question because I love things about all of them.
Okay. All right. When did you realize, through your education and your life experiences, when did you realize that you had the capabilities and this experience behind you to become a life coach? You know what? No. Miss Denise, don't answer that question. Don't answer this question first.
Okay.
Answer this question first because there might be people out there who don't even know what a life coach is. So tell the people in your own words the definition of a life coach first.
Okay. My definition of a life coach may be different from, others. For me, a life coach is a person who's able to help you navigate the journey of life. They're able to help you process what you're going through, help you to have some introspection on the areas of your life that you may be struggling with. And they are able to not just be a listening ear, but to give you feedback and also provide you with some accountability. And that comes from experience, that comes from education, that comes from a frame of reference, and an ability to not immerse yourself into yourself and really immerse yourself into the other person's situation in order for you to really give them objective advice or objective feedback that's not based on your own pain or your own struggle or your own situation. It's really based on what the best recourse would be for the person that's seeking your services. So for me, that's what I think a life coach is.
Okay. All right. Now, when did you realize through education and your own personal life experiences, you had what it take to become a life coach?
Now, that's an interesting question because I actually started out as an educator. So I have my bachelor's degree. I dual majored in education and industry training, and I have a master's in education. So I really had all intentions to, be a teacher and maybe get into administration someday. And, that was my life path. And then I really started to have some personal issues. I think we're always having personal issues, but I was really struggling with understanding some of my own behavior, some of my own patterns, some of my own cycles. And so I tried going to traditional therapy a few times. And then I realized that I would go and then I would stop going. And a lot of the reasons for me why I stopped going to traditional therapy, I just found that I wasn't really getting what I needed in terms of the labeling, and I wasn't really getting what I needed in terms of what I was looking for. And I'm not saying therapy in general is that. But for me, there was something that I needed that I wasn't getting. And I really decided to go for a second master's in counseling, perhaps selfishly so, because I was really trying to go to get a better understanding of myself. I think there were some things that I had experienced, and even in articulating that to traditional therapists, I really didn't walk away feeling like I got what I needed. And so I thought, if I can get this degree for me in counseling so I can have a better understanding of myself and my family dynamics and my family situation and the people around me, then, that would be rewarding enough. And then if I could get a career out of that while doing so, then, that would be the ice cream. That would be the cherry on the ice cream. But really, I started out the education of being a counselor to have a better understanding of myself. And so when I was getting my degree and I was learning all these things, I just realized the disadvantage, I had just going through life, not understanding some of my own issues or some of my own trauma or some of my own obstacles or limitations or perspectives or inner narrative. And I really, really fell in love with the idea of introspection. I love the idea of being able to explore issues that I was going through and helping others to do the same. And although I was planning to be a traditional therapist, life just kind of led down another path, and I decided to do life coaching instead because it was broader. So I was able to help people with things including career and relationships and share personal experience if needs be, which sometimes is not, really encouraged in traditional therapy. So I really kind of accidentally ended up being a life coach because I studied and I have the degree to be a counselor, but I just really prefer the life coaching route, and that's kind of how I ended up here. Long answer, short question.
No worries.
So that's how I got here.
All right, no worries. All right, when did you decide to launch your business?
So one of the things about my business, I had a business in a traditional counseling, and then I had some situations that business did not work out, and so I had to kind of start back over at the drawing board. And I do business consulting also, so I was really kind of focusing on that area. But I found that I was having a lot of conversations with people about life, and them coming to me for feedback and them coming to me for my frame of reference. And so I just decided that I was going to structure some of those encounters more so in a business. And I started the life coaching business, with my friends and colleagues and people that were close to me. And they would refer me to people, and they would refer me to people. And so it just became, I guess, a business out of that.
Okay. All right. Do you remember the very first person who came to see you, who basically needed your services? And if so, what was that experience like?
I think all of us really, whether it's through education or we're, that person that people come to for sound advice, I think a lot of us are like that. And I think a lot of us are really life coaches in general, because we're helping our friends or families or colleagues. We're talking to people all the time, giving them feedback, helping them to kind of assess and analyze what they're going through. But I think I would say one of the most important clients I've ever had, I had a client once, and I remember I was at a crossroads where I was really thinking about whether this is something that I wanted to do at the level in which I was, going to be dedicating myself to do it. And it was the first session I ever had with that client. And after the session, he said to me, Within 5 minutes of talking to you, I realized that I met someone who was doing exactly what they were born to do. And I think even till today, it's probably one of the most important things somebody's ever said to me, because it made me feel grounded in what I do, and it really made me feel like I was doing, my purpose work. And I talk to clients all the time that I help to navigate whatever course of life or wherever they are in life, and just kind of help them to navigate and understand where they are and identify patterns, cycles, limitations, constructs. And that honestly makes me really happy when I'm able to help somebody see their way through something that they're struggling with.
Okay. Now, when I look on your webpage, there are a lot of different things, so I want to ask you about them, like confronting anxiety. Tell me a little bit about confronting anxiety and how you advise people to deal with anxiety and panic attacks.
The interesting thing about anxiety, I think a lot of people have anxiety and they have a construct of what anxiety is. And so when they have that definition, because they don't have that symptom, they think they don't have anxiety. And so one of the things I like to explore with people first is just, when you're in situations, are you reacting or are you responding? And a lot of times people think they're responding when in fact they're reacting. And a lot of times when you're reacting instead of responding, it's a form of anxiety. And so I don't like to label people and say, oh, you have anxiety, but through conversations where we can identify those response versus reactive kind of systems, we're able to identify, whether or not there are some anxiety tendencies and what can be done in order to change those or respond in a way where it doesn't send that kind of energy through your body.
Okay. What if you had to give someone advice on just getting their life together? Where would you start them off? Would it be like self-love, time management? Like, where would you tell a person to start when it comes to just getting their life together and their thoughts?
That's a pretty interesting question, because I think a lot of times the obvious answer may be, okay, well, people need to love themselves or people need to take better care of themselves. But honestly, I think we live in a society and we live in a world where a lot of people are really not living their life as themselves. They are often living a life based on society standards, keeping up with the Jones, trying to match, what they see in the media, trying to make it to a point where they define as successful, which is not even their own definition, but just one they started following like a dog on a bone without even, remembering where the root of that came from. And so I really like to start with people by having them examine their definition of self, having them identify who they are, who they think they are, who they want to be, and see, are they close to those things? Are those things similar? Are those things different? And how are they taking care of themselves? Because a lot of times taking care of yourself or not taking care of yourself really is the foundation of a lot of other things that goes wrong. So self-care is a really good place to start, but authenticity is important also, because if you're not really being yourself, then everything else that you're doing, honestly, it could just be a recipe that's going to lead to a disastrous meal if there's no authenticity in who you are, and if there isn't any honesty in the person that you wake up every day and look in the mirror and say, this is who I am. If you're just pretending to be a version of yourself, I think a lot of problems start. from that mindset.
Do you find that a lot of people aren't honest with themselves and who they are?
To be honest with you, I think all of us have a level of dishonesty within ourselves, and that comes from so many things. I mean, it comes from shame sometimes from our parents, shame from society, shame from our loved ones, shame for ourselves, standards and expectations that we put on ourselves or that others have put on us. And I think a lot of people are really trying to live the life others expect them to live as opposed to the life they want to live. And because of that construct, I think a lot of people are really not being themselves. And sometimes they're not even aware of it. It becomes such an automated kind of process that they're just going, and very seldom stop to examine whether or not, they're marching to the beat of their own drum, or if they're just kind of keeping up with the band or the Joneses.
Okay. All right. Look, before we get up out of here, let the people know first and foremost the different type of services you offer.
Oh my goodness. So I offer a lot of services. I also offer classes where we can explore things like, identifying some anxieties. I have a course right now, Inspiration to Build the Life You Love. We examine what is your role in a relationship? Are you single? Where are you in terms of reaching your goals? We look at career development. We look at crossroads.
90 seconds.
Perspectives, narratives, those conversations that's always kind of running in the back of your mind that you may not necessarily be aware that it's back there. So I really work with you on any aspect of life, any facet of life, but I really love working with people who are at a crossroads where they want to do something different than what they've been doing, and they're not sure how to begin that process.
60 seconds.
How to navigate that process once they start. So it's a broad area, but any area of life
Okay.
is what I like to say I'm able to help you navigate.
Okay. Let the people know how to find you. If they want to set up services or look more into the services, or just let the people know how to find Miss Denise.
The easiest way to find me is on my website, IamDenise.com. That's IamDenise.com. That's the easiest way to find me. I can also be reached at 404-850-5151.
All right.
10 seconds.
Again, Miss Denise, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Continued success to you. And hey, man, come back on the show anytime.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you.
All right. You have a wonderful night.
You too. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was Miss Denise of Denise Life Coaching Services. Y'all, please check her out on her website. And that, again, is www.IamDenise.com. Find out. She got a lot of things that can help put your life in order. All right. It's your boy, Big XL. This is the Ride and Dirty Show, where we bridge the gap between hip-hop and everyday life. We'll see you guys later with another dope interview. All right. Y'all have a blessed night. Stay black. Keep it gangster. Peace.